got so motherfucking design on right now. Bring it down, bring it down, I got 3 old thoughts on the wall.
Hey everyone, welcome to this deep dive. You requested some advice on self-improvement, and, I get it. Feels like you're in a bit of a rut, maybe wanting a little more out of life.
Happens to the best of us.
Well, think of this like your cheat sheet to leveling up. Okay, we're going deep on this book, Level Up, and I even took a peek at those podcast notes you sent over. Looks like we've got some good stuff to work with. Oprah's whole growth mindset thing, how to start new habits by just doing 1 page a day, all that good stuff.
Sounds like we've got a plan.
We do. So Level Up really digs into this whole fixed versus growth mindset thing, from Carol Dweck's work. I know you know this stuff, but what always blows me away is how it actually plays out in real life.
Oh, absolutely. Dweck's research is amazing. It's not just some theory, right? It's about how what we believe actually changes what we do.
Yeah.
And then that shapes what we achieve. It's all connected. Like if you believe you can learn and grow, you're going to be way more likely to take on challenges, and then push through when things get tough.
Yeah, totally. Which is where Oprah comes in, right? Level Up talks about her. Talk about inspiring. From poverty to a total media empire. I actually saw her speak once. Her energy was unreal.
She's like the poster child for this whole limitless potential idea. It's not about where you start. It's about whether you believe you can change and evolve.
100%. So let's think about how this growth mindset applies to, well, you. What goals have you been kind of putting off? Because there's that little voice saying, I can't.
We all have that voice.
Right. So maybe step 1 is ditching that I can't and going with how can I? Instead, Level Up talks about turning challenges into learning moments.
Love that. So instead of this is a dead end, it's, okay, how do I figure this out?
Exactly. It's like that, yeah. And then there's the whole positive self-talk thing. I've tried those affirmations, and I gotta say, they felt cheesy at first. But honestly, when I catch myself thinking I'm gonna mess this up and I switch it to I can handle this, it actually makes a difference.
It really does. What we tell ourselves matters way more than we realize. Here's a tip from the book. Say those affirmations out loud. I know it sounds silly, but it reinforces the message. I am capable. I'm resilient. I'm learning.
Like giving yourself a pep talk in the mirror, huh?
Exactly.
Okay, and then Level Up talks about celebrating small wins, right? It even suggests keeping a small wins journal.
That's a good one. It's so easy to focus on what we haven't done yet and totally miss the progress we're making. The journal helps you see those little victories. Finished a report, nailed a presentation, stuck to your morning routine, write it down.
It's like giving yourself permission to feel good about those wins no matter how small. Okay, so mindset, check.
Right.
But then there are those pesky habits, the things that are holding us back from leveling up.
Habits are huge, and if we want to change them, we got to understand how they work. Now remember the habit loop from The Power of Habit. Cue, routine, reward. Okay, so that whole cycle is key, as Charles Duhigg explains. But I think for busy people like yourself, the biggest takeaway is this. Start small and be consistent. And that brings us to habit stacking.
Okay, so instead of trying to change everything at once, which I am so guilty of, we go for tiny, almost ridiculously small changes.
You got it. It's like building a muscle, right? One tiny rep at a time. You want to read more. Commit to just 1 page a day. Want to exercise more. Start with 5 minutes. Make it so easy you can't say no.
You know what? I actually tried that with meditation. I used to think I needed like a whole hour to do it right. Then I found this app with 5-minute guided meditations. Game changer.
See? Small, consistent actions lead to big results.
They do. And that app you mentioned, that could be a great addition to the whole Level Up toolkit, which we'll talk about later. But first, let's talk about habit stacking. I'm curious, have you tried it yourself?
Oh, yeah, all the time.
Really? I actually did too. I always forgot to take my vitamins in the morning, so I put them next to my coffee maker. Now it's like, boom, automatic.
There you go. Classic habit stacking. You connected a new habit to an old one.
Made it easy.
Exactly.
But there's one thing that always trips me up, and I bet a lot of people struggle with this. Self-doubt. It's like this wall that stops you from going after what you want. Even with all the positive self-talk and the habit stuff, that voice still pops up.
Oh, it's so common. Even the most successful people deal with self-doubt. Level Up talks about imposter syndrome, where you feel like a fraud even when you're super accomplished.
Seriously, even Einstein felt that way.
Seriously. He actually said something like, people think so highly of my work and it makes me feel like a total phony. It's kind of wild, right?
It is. Maybe feeling like we're not good enough is just like part of being human. But Level Up says we don't have to let it control us. It says to question those thoughts, to celebrate every win. It's about shifting our focus.
Exactly. And don't forget about your people. Having people who believe in you makes a huge difference.
That's where my amazing friends come in. They're always there to remind me of what I'm capable of, especially when I'm doubting myself. I'm lucky to have them.
That's great. Sounds like you've got a solid support system.
Yeah.
But sometimes you got to go head to head with that inner critic, you know? Level Up suggests that when that voice says you're not good enough, you ask it. What's the proof? What are the facts?
Like putting that inner critic on trial. I like it.
Right.
Speaking of tools, Level Up doesn't just stop at mindset and habits, does it? It's like it comes with a whole goodie bag of resources to help you, well, level up your life.
It does. And that's what's so great about this book.
It's not just ideas, it gives you actual steps you can take to make real changes.
You got it.
So we've covered the foundation, mindset, habits, taming that self-doubt, and now it's time to explore the toolkit. We've covered so much, though. Maybe this is a good place to, I don't know, take a breath and then come back to all those resources.
Sounds good to me. We'll pick up right where we left off. Welcome back. I'm excited to get into the nitty-gritty of Level Up, you know, to actually open up that toolkit you mentioned.
Me too. We talked about all those big concepts, mindset, habits, dealing with that inner critic. But now I want to see how Level Up actually puts those ideas into action. You know, I had something in my podcast notes that fits in perfectly here. This idea of like intentional change, not just wishing things were different, but taking steps to actually make it happen.
I love that. The whole point of Level Up, right?
Mm-hmm.
Going from just hoping to actually doing. And the tools in the book can totally help with that. You mentioned wanting to get back into a fitness routine. Maybe we can use that as an example, see how these tools work in real life.
Oh, you caught that, huh? Yeah, working out regularly, it's always on my to-do list. But I have this all or nothing thing. Like, if I'm not training for a marathon, why bother?
I see that all or nothing thinking. Remember what we said about starting small. You don't have to become an Olympian overnight. It's about building a habit that sticks. So maybe ditch the marathon mindset and go for something, I don't know, more manageable.
What if you just committed to like 15 minutes a day? Doesn't have to be anything crazy. A walk, a yoga video, even just dancing around your living room. What do you think?
Honestly, 15 minutes sounds a lot less scary than an hour at the gym. And I do love dancing around my apartment. Maybe that's a good place to start. But how do I actually stick with it? I'm great at starting things, not so much at finishing them.
That's where those habit hacks come in. Remember, habit stacking, connecting a new habit to one you already have. What's something you do every single day without fail?
Well, I never miss my morning coffee. My brain doesn't function without it.
Perfect. What if, while that coffee's brewing, you do a quick 5-minute workout? Stretches, jumping jacks, anything to get the blood flowing. I love that. It's like multitasking, but good for you. Coffee and a mini workout. And it's so simple. Can't really say I don't have time. But I have tried this before, and I tend to forget about the workout part.
It takes time to build new habits. Level Up talks about setting yourself up for success. So what if you laid out your workout clothes the night before? Then you're ready to go right when you wake up.
It's like removing all the obstacles before they even pop up. You know, this is making me realize it's not just about having the willpower to work out. It's about actually creating systems and structures that, help me reach my goals.
Exactly. You're setting yourself up for success. And don't forget about tracking your progress. Mark it on a calendar, use an app, whatever works. Seeing those consistent days, it can be really motivating.
Okay, I'm actually feeling pretty good about this fitness goal now. What's cool is this whole deep dive, it's helping me make a real plan. It's not just like abstract ideas anymore. It's about how to use them in my own life. Now, there's something else I wanted to ask about. Time management. I always feel like I'm rushing around, juggling a million things, and never quite catching up.
Oh, the eternal struggle to master time.
Yeah.
Right? Level Up has some good advice about this. It talks about prioritizing and saying no. It's easy to get caught up in all the requests and commitments, but you got to decide what actually matters to you.
Saying no is so hard for me. I hate turning people down, even if it means taking on too much. Then I just end up stressed and resentful.
I get it. It's a common struggle. But think of it this way. Saying no to something that's not important is actually saying yes to something that is. It's about protecting your time and energy. Sounds like maybe setting some boundaries would be helpful.
That's a good way to look at it. It's not being selfish, it's being intentional. So besides saying no, what are some other time management things that Level Up talks about?
There's this thing called time blocking. Have you ever tried that?
I've heard of it. but I've never actually tried it. I get kind of overwhelmed thinking about scheduling every minute of my day.
It doesn't have to be that rigid. Just start by blocking off some chunks of time for your most important tasks. So maybe block an hour in the morning for focused work. That's when you're most productive, right? And then maybe another hour in the afternoon for emails and stuff.
Okay, that makes sense. And I guess it's about being flexible too, right? Life happens, things come up.
Exactly. It's not about being a robot. It's about having a framework to help you stay on track. And don't forget to schedule in breaks. This isn't about working 24/7. It's about finding a rhythm that works for you, one that actually helps you feel good.
I do forget about breaks. I get so focused on getting things done that I burn myself out. That doesn't exactly help me level up.
Burnout is a killer. It's about balance, right? Between getting stuff done and taking care of yourself. Now, another time management tip I like is the 2-minute rule.
Okay, what's that?
If you can do something in under 2 minutes, just do it right then. Don't put it off. Don't add it to your list. Just knock it out.
That's brilliant. It's those little things that add up and make you feel, I don't know, scattered.
Exactly. Answer an email, fill that laundry, make a quick call. Little wins, big impact.
It's interesting. All this stuff we're talking about, mindset, habits, time management, it's all connected, isn't it? It's not just about fixing separate problems. It's about creating a whole system for growth.
It is. It's like a holistic approach to personal growth. When you're in a growth mindset, you're going to adopt those positive habits. You're going to manage your time better. And then when you manage your time well, you create more space for growth. It's all a cycle.
I like that, the big picture. It's like we're creating a foundation for, constantly getting better, not just a quick fix.
That's exactly it. A system for constant evolution, constant leveling up.
I love that. But I think we've given our listener a lot of information today. Mindset makeovers, habit hacks, dealing with self-doubt, and now we're talking fitness and time management strategies. It's a lot. Maybe it's time to shift gears a bit to actually look at some of the specific resources Level Up recommends.
You're right. Let's highlight some of those. Level Up gives tons of recommendations, from books to apps to everyday practices. Where should we start?
Well, I'm always down for a good book recommendation. Level Up mentions some of the classics in the self-improvement world, right?
Oh, yeah. It talks about Atomic Habits by James Clear, which is all about the science of habits.
Yeah.
Then there's Mindset by Carol Dweck. She's the growth mindset guru. And the 5 a.m. Club by Robin Sharma, all about creating a killer morning routine.
Atomic Habits is one of my favorites. It's so practical. And speaking of practical, what about digital tools? You're a bit of a productivity whiz. What apps do you use?
Notion and Trello are my go-tos for organizing thoughts, projects, to-do lists. They're super flexible. You ever used either of those?
I've dabbled in Trello, but I haven't tried Notion yet. Maybe I should add that to my list. One thing I've been meaning to do more of is meditation. Finding those moments of peace can be tough these days. I know Level Up talks about some meditation apps. What do you think of those?
Meditation is so good for you. Apps like Headspace and Calm have guided meditations for everyone, from beginners to, experts. Even 5 minutes a day can help.
I love that it doesn't have to be a big, complicated thing. Just a few minutes can make such a difference. And speaking of simple, Level Up also talks about daily practices, right? Like having a morning routine and taking some time to reflect in the evening.
Yeah. Even just 5 minutes for each can set you up for a productive day and help you unwind at night. It's like creating bookends for your day.
I like that. Bookends. Makes it sound nice and contained.
Right.
What's striking me is Level Up isn't just about vague ideas. It gives you an actual toolkit to use this stuff in your own life. And it sounds like you've incorporated a lot of these tools already, right?
I try to. But it's always a work in progress, Remember, just knowing this stuff isn't enough. You have to actually use it. So I encourage everyone to check out these resources. Try different things. See what sticks. Find what works for you.
So true. It's not about finding one perfect system. It's about finding what fits you best. We've covered so much today. Mindset, habits, dealing with self-doubt, all these amazing resources. It's kind of a lot. But this is just the beginning, right? The real work is putting all this knowledge into practice.
You said it. This deep dive is the starting point. Now it's time to take what you've learned and make it your own. Remember, this is a journey, not a destination. There will be ups and downs, for sure. Times when you're super clear, times when you're totally lost. But the important thing is to keep going, keep learning, keep growing.
Absolutely. It's not about reaching some perfect leveled up state. It's about embracing the whole messy process of growing and evolving. But before we wrap this up, there's one more thing I want to touch on. It keeps popping up in Level Up, and I think it's super important for anyone who really wants to make lasting changes.
Okay, I'm listening. What is it about this concept that's grabbing you?
It's the whole thing about building systems for success. It's not just about willpower or motivation. It's about creating an environment that supports your goals. Like instead of trying to swim upstream, you build a dam and redirect the water, so it flows where you want it to go.
That's a great way to put it. It's about making your environment work for you, about
Ah,
setting yourself up to succeed. So that means being intentional about your surroundings, your routines, your habits.
exactly. Like we were talking about with habit stacking, creating those little cues for positive actions. But it's bigger than that, right? It's about designing a whole ecosystem that supports your growth. So whether that's having a dedicated workspace, surrounding yourself with supportive people, or making sure you schedule time for self-care, it's about making those positive choices the easiest ones.
I love that. You become the architect of your own life, making choices that help you grow and feel good. And I think that's a perfect way to lead into the final part of our deep dive. We've covered so much tools, strategies, but ultimately it's up to you to take all this and create something meaningful with it.
You're right. But before we move on to the last part, I want to give our listener a minute to just, think about what we've talked about. We've covered a lot. Mindset, habits, self-doubt, specific stuff for fitness and time management, and then even this idea of building systems for success. It's a lot to process.
It is. Let's take a moment to let it all sink in.
Okay.
So before we jump into the last part of this deep dive, we'll pause for just a bit, take a breath, and we'll come back to finish strong.
Okay, so ready to wrap this whole thing up? Feel like we've given our listener a ton to think about?
We have. But sometimes it's the simplest ideas that really stick with you, And level up keeps coming back to this whole idea of, well, leveling up. Catchy title, sure. But what does it actually mean to, level up your life?
Yeah, that's what I was wondering too. It's not like there's a definition in the dictionary, right? Is it about hitting a certain income level, getting a fancy job title, having 1 million followers on Insta?
It's not about those external things, for
Mhm.
sure. For me, leveling up is about pushing past those limits you set for yourself. It's getting out of your comfort zone and becoming, the best version of you, whatever that means to you specifically.
So it's more about the journey, not the destination. Like for one person, leveling up could be starting a business. For someone else, it could be finally writing that book they've always talked about.
Exactly. Or maybe it's about being a more patient parent
It's
or a
wrong.
more present partner or just like a more mindful person in general. It's about those goals that actually matter to you, not what society says should matter.
I like that. It's so easy to compare ourselves to others, and
Oh,
then end up feeling like we're not doing enough. But level up reminds us that growth is personal.
it really is. And it's not always easy either. It's not always a straight line. You're going to have setbacks. You're going to doubt yourself. You might even totally fail sometimes.
Yeah.
But it's how you handle those tough times that really matters.
Right. It's like in those video games where you have to beat those super hard bosses to get to the next level. You might get knocked down a few times, but you learn from it each time and you come back stronger.
Love that analogy. Every challenge you overcome, it helps you grow. So don't be afraid to mess up those setbacks. They're actually chances to learn and adapt.
I needed to hear that, but sometimes, even when you're trying your best, it can be tough to keep up that, level up energy every single day. Work, family, that new season of whatever show on Netflix.
Yeah.
How do you stay on track when, real life keeps happening?
I think that's where those small, consistent actions we were talking about come in. 1 page a day, 5 minutes of exercise, stuff that seems small but adds up over time.
And it goes back to building those systems for success, right? Making it easier to make those good choices.
Exactly. So whether it's setting up a good workspace, prepping healthy meals ahead of time,
Uh,
or literally putting self-reflection on your calendar, it's all about making those good choices the easy ones.
This whole deep dive has really made me see that personal growth isn't about finding some magic solution. It's about showing up, making those good choices every day, and trusting the process.
Couldn't have said it better myself. And remember, you're not alone in this. Find people who are on a similar path. Find mentors, celebrate each other's wins. It really helps to have that support.
It does. So to wrap it all up, leveling up, it's personal, it's about progress, not perfection, and it's a whole lot easier when you set yourself up for success. Anything else you want to add?
Just this, you have the power to create the life you want. Trust yourself, believe in yourself, and keep reaching for those goals.
That's a great way to end this. I hope this deep dive has been helpful and inspiring, listener. Take what works for you, experiment, adapt, and create your own unique path to leveling up.
And until next time, keep shining.